turning your scrap filament from this to this. And it's all in today's video. All right, what's up everyone? Back at it again. It is DW Darkwing Dad. I want to thank you for stopping by and checking out today's video. Before you leave here today, if you're like me and you love 3D printing, make sure to click the subscribe button, as I have a long, useful list of 3D printing videos just around the corner. But in today's video, I have a fun and simple way you can help utilize all those extra 3D printing scraps that you have left over after your print's done. So obviously in 3D printing, there's always some sort of scrap left over. Sometimes it's inevitable and needs supports and the supports are left over, or maybe sometimes it's out of your control and a failed print occurs. Regardless, we have these scraps left over that we just hate wasting. Sometimes we are able to salvage those failed prints, or maybe utilize a big chunk of a failed print and test a new putty or a paint technique. But when it comes to some failed prints and a lot of the supports, there's just not a lot of use for them. And if you're like me, you probably absolutely hate throwing out materials and products that could possibly be repurposed. Today I'm going to show you how I reuse some of my scraps by melting them down into a silicone mold and turning them into something new and useful. So these molds are pretty cool. They're pretty much made for every occasion and holiday that you could think of. And what's really great about them is they do kind of help you get into the holiday spirit. And even better, if you're strapped for cash, they're a nice, unique, out-of-the-box gift that you can give to somebody. All right, well, this filament's not going to melt itself. Let's get things fired up and get things cooking. Let's go. All right, so first thing we want to do is go ahead and preheat our oven to about 370 degrees. Once that starts warming up, we're going to make our way over to the Marvel room, and somewhere in this chaos, I have my scrap filament. You can see that the Marvel room is a mess of projects right now. It's that time of year, but right over here, I keep my scraps neatly organized in a nice little plastic bag. You can see here I've already started taking some extra scraps and putting them in one of the holiday silicone molds. This is a little present mold here. Somewhere else in here, I have the other molds. I actually put them right over here. You can see we have a couple Christmas trees, and I believe this is Santa Claus right here. I've got two more hiding somewhere. Oh, right back here, so I'll grab those. This is a smaller Christmas tree, and I believe this is Rudolph, so that's kind of cool. So the oven's warming up, so what we're going to do is grab all these here. Oh, or not. Try to grab all these here, make our way out to the kitchen, and get things started. With the oven still warming up, you can go ahead and grab a baking sheet. And yes, I highly recommend to grab an old baking sheet just so you don't put yourself in the doghouse. Lay down some aluminum foil just in case anything drips or breaks off and spills just when you're starting to fill the molds. One tip I could give you as far as what type of filament to use: don't use too much black. Here I use more black than I should have in this pumpkin mold, and you can see some of the areas looks good and some of them not so good. The black just kind of soaked in and leached in, and it looks almost muddy and ugly. So try to use more vibrant colors. You're gonna get a lot better results with that. So basically just fill up the molds with all your scrap filament that you have, and once they're pretty much to the top, into the oven they go. Now unfortunately, this isn't a super fast process. It can easily take all day or more, depending on how many you're doing. You really just want to let the filament melt as liquidy as possible, and then refill and repeat. Use oven mitts, things like that. You don't want to be burning yourself. Those of you concerned about fumes, don't worry. As long as you're not using ABS, there's really nothing harmful in most of the filaments that we use. They're derived from corn and starch, things like that. Also, keeping it below 385 degrees, it won't scorch the filament or the mold, so you won't have to worry about any smoke or any fumes or anything like that. Now, through this whole process, you'll have some molds finish faster than others, and usually it's the small ones that actually take longer. You'll have to kind of break them into little tiny pieces once you get to the end and get them in the feet and all the intricate areas, but finish them as they complete. Don't leave them in the oven. You don't really need to do that. Go ahead and pull them out from the tray. If they stay in too long and they get too hot, they can start to bubble, which sometimes is inevitable. But when they are complete, take the entire tray out, let it cool down a little bit. You don't want to transfer or move these silicone molds when they're still gummy and kind of liquidy, because again, you can create air bubbles and things like that. Let them cool down and solidify a little bit. Once they are cool enough to grab by hand, you can actually go ahead and put them in the freezer to kind of speed up the hardening process. Repeat this as many times needed until all of your molds are done. Here you can see the small ones from yesterday are just finishing, and I've actually started on a
second set of the trees because, like I said, those big ones do get done a little bit faster. And once they're set, cooled, and ready to go, let the satisfaction of peeling the mold off ensue. It's very, very important to make sure that the mold is completely cooled off. If it's warm and you try to roll it off or anything, you could easily tear the mold. When you're taking these off, you just kind of want to start at the top and just kind of roll it down, make sure it separates. You don't want to pull it too much on one side. Again, you can still damage the mold. Some of the other ones, you know, we dealt with a little bit of that bubbling and the colors aren't as vibrant as they like. You know, with practice, you'll get better. This is the first time that I use these molds. In the past, I've done videos with skulls and I pretty much got those hammered down. Those are a real nice, easy shape. These have a little bit more dips and curves, so sometimes you got to leave them in the oven a little bit longer than others, but practice makes perfect. I've got plenty of scrap filament laying around and obviously plenty of time before Christmas here, so I'm going to try to do a couple more rounds of these and really kind of master these and make them look awesome. But overall, not too bad. The molds came out pretty good, and it's a good way to help you utilize that scrap filament in an easy, inexpensive option for any holiday. Now that I've showed you what I like to do with my scrap filament, let's wrap this video up, shall we?
All right, everybody, well, there you have it. There is my video on how I utilize some of my scraps and taking what seems to be useless garbage and turning them into something, I guess, kind of cool in a sense. Biggest takeaway, if you are going to get into doing the whole melting down of your scrap filaments and everything, is one, this is not a fast process. You can see that if you have a decent amount of molds or some maybe smaller intricate ones that it does take some time. You know, two, there is a little bit of a learning curve. If it's a new mold and something that has a lot of dips and curve, you really got to learn to kind of let that filament, you know, melt and liquefy a little bit more and get into every groove and nook and cranny. If not, you're kind of left with gaps or air bubbles or literally pieces missing, as you can see here. You got to kind of learn the mold. So patience is definitely key when you are melting down your scraps and putting them into these molds. But in the end, they definitely did turn out pretty cool and helped us get more into the holiday spirit. And obviously some turned out significantly better than others. But even involving the kids, it was a fun little project to do on the holiday break. They enjoyed it, I enjoyed it, and I hope you did too. Tons of different molds available for every different holiday. I'll be sure to drop the links in the description, so make sure to check them out. And hey, if you pick some up, make sure to drop me a line and let me know. Speaking of you, I want to thank all of you for tuning into today's video. I hope you liked it, and if you did, please make sure to give me a thumbs up. Questions, comments, concerns, or you just want to say, hey, I love hearing from you guys, make sure to drop me a comment in the comment section. You know I'll hit you back. And of course, if you do like 3D printing, cosplay, DIY, build tutorials, product comparisons, testing, all the stuff I'm doing on the channel, make sure to click the subscribe button. I have a ton of cool videos coming up. I have 2 filament testing videos that I have coming up. I'm reviewing the Elegoo Neptune 4 Plus, my Creality S1 Plus. I still have the Spider-Man helmet build from Do 3D that I have due up. And I have a really, really, really exciting build that I have coming up. I'm actually going to be building a mask off the album cover of 0936. I felt it all, is all the love we had at the start. You guys know me and you know them. I am a huge fan of 0936, so that build is getting pushed right to the top after I knock out these couple videos here. It's going to be done and debuted for the album release in February. I'm hoping to have the band on the video with me. A lot of cool things are happening. My mind's going a mile a minute here, but really, really excited for those videos. So if you like any of that, or like I said, you're just a big fan of 3D printing, make sure to click that subscribe button and come back and see me. That's it for now, guys, and happy Thanksgiving to all of you. I hope you guys liked this video. Make sure to give me a thumbs up, drop me a comment, and click the subscribe button. Until next time, it's DW out. Later. Am I in love with